there, I'm Jonny May from Piano with Jonny, and today I'm going to teach you how to play Somewhere Over the Rainbow using 6 different jazz harmonic approaches. Now, this is a really famous song, it's a great tune to use, and we're going to talk about how to approach a song like this in a jazz style, but we're going to talk about 6 of the most common techniques we use in terms of jazz. And so these are 6 of my favorite techniques. Many jazz professionals use this, and so we're going to break down each one of these concepts. So first we're going to talk about block chords, okay? And block chords are this really cool classic jazz sound. And block chords sound like this. So then we're going to talk about drop 2 voicings. That's the second one. And drop 2s are a really cool sound because they're a lot like block chords, except we drop the second voice down. So we're going to talk about how to do that. So here's the sound of drop 2. Very kind of sweet sound. Then we're going to talk about 4th voicings. 4th voicings are a really cool technique when you're playing in a band. You want kind of a bigger sound. And so we usually play these up on the higher end of the keyboard, and they're very spread out. Okay, so we're going to talk about how to harmonize using 4th voicings. So here's the sound of 4ths. I love that sound. It's super jazzy, super fun. Okay, so that's 3. Then we're going to talk about 4th, comping. Okay, comping is this great technique. We play single note melody in the right hand, and then we play these little chord clusters in our left hand. Very often used in swing music as well. So here's the sound of comping. Pretty cool sound. Okay, the last 2 techniques we're going to talk about are reharmonization. Sometimes we want to take the chords, we want to change them up a little bit, okay? And it's a more high-level technique in playing, but I'm going to show you 2 that I really like to use. One I call chromatic reharmonization, and that's basically where we take the bass note and we walk down half steps. It's a really cool sound, and I'm going to show you how to do it on this tune. Here's an example of chromatic reharmonization. See that bass note just moving down the whole time? And then finally, we rest there. So that's a cool technique. And then we do, the last one is a complete reharmonization. This is basically where we take all of the chords and we use a lot of chord substitutions. So here is my complete reharmonization for Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And finally, we come to a resting place. This course also comes with a backing track, which is an upright bass and a drum, and these are real instruments, so you can actually play these styles in a trio setting, and it sounds pretty awesome. So here's an example of the backing track with the 4th sound. So 6 different styles, 6 different approaches, and the great thing is I break down each of these approaches so you really understand how to play these chords, play these styles using other chords. And the whole idea is, well, I not only want you to be able to play this tune, but I want you to be able to take other jazz arrangements, jazz tunes, and play them using each of these techniques. So that's a big goal for me in this lesson, and I think you're going to really enjoy it. So let's go ahead and hop in. All right, so we're going to hop in here. We're going to actually look at the lead sheet for Somewhere Over the Rainbow. So go ahead and pull that out if you have the sheet music. You know, you always want to start with the basics. And in the basics for music, the number one most important thing is the melody. So we have the melody here and then the chords. So what we're going to do is we're going to break down the A section. I'm going to teach you the chords kind of in root position with the melody, and then we're going to move into the various harmonic approaches to this song. And then at the end of the lesson, we're going to do the B section. I have a stock B section, so this B section will work with all of the harmonic approaches for the A section. So we'll do that at the end, but the purpose of this lesson is to show you all the various ways that you can approach harmonizing the A section of this melody. And there's 6 of them. So this is going to be really great for you. This is going to give you a huge harmonic palette to draw from, both when you're playing this song and as you play other songs. And if you want to play it in a block chord style or a drop 2 voicing or a 4th voicing style, you're going to have this bag of tricks in your arsenal. So let's dive in here. We're looking at the lead sheet. So if you have the music in front of you, go ahead and pull that out. This is a separate sheet, and this has your melody and chords. Okay, so we're going to do the A section. Let's just start with the melody here. So we've got that E flat with the thumb here. Okay, and we're just going to play that melody everyone knows. Okay, so here it is. 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, good job. We're just sight reading this. 1, C, A flat, G, E flat. Great job. So that's your basic melody. If you don't read music, you can go over that a few times and kind of get that melody. It's a pretty simple melody, very singable, very memorable as well. Okay, by the way, we're in the key of E flat. So the key of E flat has 3 flats, B flat, E flat, and A flat. So we'd start on an E flat, which is here. So there's your first note, E, or E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat, C, D, and E flat. So you should know this scale to play this song, because all of the chords are going to be derived from this scale, from these 7 notes. Okay. Also, my fingering is very important here. 2, 1. You always start on 2. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so like I said, these chords are coming from the E flat, key of E flat. So your second chord is a C minor 7. Well, all of these notes belong to the E flat major scale. Okay, same thing for G minor 7, which I showed you earlier, right? These notes are all part of the E flat scale. Not every chord will be part of the E flat scale, but most of them will be. Okay, so just keep that in mind. A little quick review here. We're going to talk about the 3 primary chords that we use in jazz: major 7, dominant 7, and minor 7. Okay, quick little review here. So I'm going to show these to you in the key of C, just so you can kind of see what's going on. So a major 7 is a major triad with a major 7, or the 7 is part of the scale. Okay, so you got to know your scale to figure these chords out. So C major scale is all white notes. So you got your major triad, and there's your 7th on the top. Okay, and these are built-in thirds, C major 7. Okay, the next chord is C dominant 7. One change here, got a lowered 7th. So it's a major triad, lowered 7th. The last one is C minor 7th. C minor 7th is one change as well. You lower the 3rd. So it's C, E flat, G, and B flat. And that's your C minor 7th. So these are going to be the 3 chords that you're going to see primarily through this arrangement and through most jazz pieces. If you open a real book or fake book, you'll see a few other chords, diminished chords, half diminished chords, but for the most part, 95% of your chords are going to be these 3 chords. And if you understand this concept, you can apply this to any chord. So these 3 minor, dominant, and major, dominant, and minor apply to E flat as well. You can do the same thing on E flat. Here's your E flat major, dominant, and minor. All right? So quick little review here. Make sure you understand this concept, because as I get into this arrangement, I'm going to be throwing out terms, 7, 5, 3, or going through these chords, and it's important to know just kind of these base seventh chords. You've got to know that in order to understand some of the other concepts. Okay, another really important concept for this lesson, and just in terms of all of our lessons that we're going to do, is when we're playing jazz, you define notes as scale degrees. We call these degrees of chords. So I'm not necessarily going to give you the note name, but the degree of the scale. So in terms of our C major 7, which are these notes, I'll call the C the 1 because it's the root. The E is the third up from C, so we'll call that the 3. G is the 5, and B is the 7th. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but we build chords in thirds. So 1, 3, 5, and 7. This also applies to our dominant and our minor chords. So C dominant 7, our 7th is the B flat. Now, I won't refer to this as a lowered 7th because it's assumed for a C dominant 7 or C7, it's the same thing, that the 7th is lowered. Okay, so just know that if it's a C7, I'll call this a 7th, but you just know, well, it's a lowered 7th. Same with minor 7th, okay? The third is an E flat, it's a lowered third. But if it's a C minor 7 and I say, there's your third, just know, okay, it's the lowered third there. Okay, so that's kind of the basic concept. In addition to this, we can build 3 more notes on top of this major 7 chord using thirds, the third relationships. So we have 1, 3, 5, 7. If you go up another third, you've got 9. So D is your 9. Another third is F. So that's your 11. And then A is your 13. And that's as high as you go, because if you go up another third, there's your C, so you're kind of back to your starting position. Okay? So we call these 3 notes above the bass chord, we call these extensions. And it's really fun when you play jazz because you alter these extensions and you get these really cool sounds. Okay? But all you need to know right now is when I refer to 9, it's D. If I refer to 11, that's F, and then 13 is A. Another helpful way to remember these is to just know what these degrees are down here. Okay? So the D is like 2, right? F is like 4, A is like 6. Okay? 2, 4, 6, 9, 11, 13. So that kind of helps. And in certain cases we'll use 13, in certain cases we'll use 6. In certain cases we'll use 11 or 4. 2 we don't use quite as often, but we will use 9. So just know that's kind of the language that we'll be using throughout this arrangement. Okay, so the next aspect of a lead sheet is the chords. You always have the chords written above. What we're going to do is do these in root position, like I said earlier, and then talk about how to voice these notes to where they sound really cool and jazzy. So the first chord is an E flat major 7. That's E flat, G, B flat, and D natural. And that's an E flat triad with your major 7 on the top. We build chords in thirds. Okay, so that major 7 comes a third above the 5th, and that's your root position. Okay, second chord is C minor. We got C, E flat, G, and B flat. So we get that C minor triad with the 7th above it. Next chord is G minor. We can put that here. G, B flat, D, and F. It's a G minor triad with a lowered 7th. Because remember, lowered 7th means if you go to the scale, the G major scale, you have an F sharp. So we're going to lower that to F natural. Okay, we have an E flat dominant 7th on the last beat of measure 2. We've got E flat, G, B flat, and D flat. That's a dominant chord. A flat major 7. Let's go ahead and put that low because the melody is going to kind of get in the way here. So we're going to go way down here. A flat, C, E flat, and G natural. Okay, there's your major triad with that major 7th. Okay, D7, root position. D, F sharp, A, and C. Next chord is a G minor. Let's put that here. By the way, this red dot here, that's middle C. Okay, there's G, B flat, D, and F. Good job. We're going to go to E flat dominant 7, E flat, G, B flat, and D flat. A flat major is the next chord. We're going to come down here one more time. A flat, C, E flat, and G. D flat, dominant 7 is here. D flat, F, A flat, B, B natural. E flat major, you know this one already. C7, it's going to be down here. C, E, G, and B flat, dominant chord. F7, we'll put it up here. F, A, C, and E flat. And then B flat 7, this is your 5 chord of E flat. This is getting you back to that E flat major, or E flat major chord. This is B flat, D, F, and A flat. And then of course your E flat major 7. Okay, so now that you understand this concept of bass 7th chords, you got the melody, we've got the chords, let's put them together. Okay, so this is the A section, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. There's your E flat starting note, and you have your E flat major 7. Now these, once again, these are root positions, so they're very simple. We will not perform it this way. This is just to have a basic understanding of the lead sheet. So let's do this. So E flat major 7, there they are together. Next one is C minor 7. Very good. G minor 7. E flat 7. Good. A flat major 7. Nice. D7. And G minor 7. Okay, E7 or E dominant 7, it means the same thing. E flat dominant 7. A flat major 7. D flat dominant 7. E flat major 7. C7. Here's our F dominant 7 or F7. Move that thumb out of the way so you can play the melody. And then B flat 7. And then you have your E flat major at the end. All right, so those are your basic chords. We're going to have a lot of fun with this. So let's go ahead and hop now into the first concept here, which is going to be blocked chords. All right, so before you move into this block chord style, make sure you have the melody down, you have the chords down. Really important because we're building off of those. And if you don't understand the chords in root position, it's going to get a little bit complicated because we're rearranging a lot of these notes to create these various sounds. So we're going to hop here into the block chord sound. I love the sound of block chords. It's a very lush, beautiful sound. It's kind of a dated sound. It has kind of a 1940s, 1950s sound, so very appropriate for that era. Kind of reminds me of like I Love Lucy or something, so kind of has that big band flair to it. So here's the sound of block chords for Somewhere Over the Rainbow. So really nice sound. As you can tell, it has that like big band, almost like a saxophone section would be playing this, or a string section. This also sounds really nice up the octave. So pretty cool stuff here. So basically the block chord sound is taking the melody, turning it into an octave, and then putting the chord in the middle. Okay? That's the most basic description of it. What I'm going to do first is show it to you in the key of C, just the kind of the concept of block chords. And then once you understand the formula here, you're going to get how to put it in the key of E flat. So before I show you the notes of this block chord style on Somewhere Over the Rainbow, I want to explain the concept behind block chords and how we form block chords and the sort of formula behind it. Because if you understand the formula, you can apply it to any chord. So we're going to do this in the key of C major. C major is really easy to see. It's really easy to identify the degrees of the chord. So once you learn it in C, you can apply it to any chord, any song. Okay? So we're going to start with C major 7. So we already know C major 7 is C, E, G, and B, right? And that relates, of course, to the C major scale. So if we were to harmonize each note of the C major scale, how would we do that in a block chord style? So that's what we're going to talk about right now. So we're starting with C major 7, and we're going to harmonize each one of these notes using the C major 7 chord. So the first one we do is this. Okay? So we have C, E, G, A, and C. And we always double the melody. This is the melody on top. We double it on the bottom. So that melody is always moving. Let me actually go ahead and perform these for you so you can kind of hear what they sound like, and then I'll break down the notes. So here's the block chord sound, C major 7. So it has that really lush quality to it. So what we're doing here on the first chord is C, E, G, A, and C. Now you might notice, well, C major 7 has a B in it, but we're using an A. Well, this is a substitution, okay? On major 7 chords, we can use the 6 instead of the 7. So in this case, I really like the sound of that 6 because we get that cluster in the middle, that third on the top. It sounds really nice. So if you're harmonizing C melody with the C chord, that's what you're going to use, C6. Next one, we got the D's on the outside, doubling the melody. We've got E, G, and B in the middle. That's 3, 5, and 7. So now we're going to use that major 7. You get that third on the top, so it sounds really nice. So that's your voicing for the second degree of the C scale, right? 1, 2. Now we're going to go up to 3. This is the third degree of the scale. We've got E, G, A, C, and E. Or 3, 5, 6, 1, and 3. Got the 6 going again. Okay, the 4, which is F, we're going to harmonize a little bit differently. This one's a little bit hard to harmonize with the C chord because the F is not really part of the major triad. In fact, it clashes with it. So we're going to use a D minor 7. Don't worry too much about this for now. Just know when you're on the 4th degree of the major scale and you're harmonizing it, to use the F is 4, A is 6, C is 1, and D is 2. So just know that. 4th degree, that's the harmonization. All right, let's keep going. G, we're now in the 5th degree. We got the 5 on the outside, 6, 1, 3. It's a really nice sound there. Next one, A's are on the outside. We have 1, 3, and 5 in the middle, C, E, and G. Next one, you got the B's on the outside. We're going to use 1, 3, and 5 in the middle. I love this chord, just really sweet cluster there, wants to resolve up to the C6, C, E, G, A, and C. So I'd practice these going up and down, just each of these chord positions, going nice and slowly, feeling each one in your hand, moving those internal notes around, and then definitely take it down. This is extremely valuable because once you understand this concept and how these degrees work, you can apply it to another key. You can do an E flat if you know the E flat scale, right? So if you know that scale in E flat and you know your degrees, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, and 13, then you can do the same thing in E flat. Isn't that nice? You can do that in any key. You just got to know your scales. Okay, we're going to move on. We did C major 7. We have 2 more chords. We're going to harmonize in the block chords style. Next one is C minor 7. And that one sounds like this. Okay, so now what we're doing is harmonizing a slightly different melody because this is the melody that you typically have on a C minor 7. So the melody is C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B flat, C. Okay, and this is reflecting the notes of an E flat minor 7, C, E flat, G, and B flat. So you're getting that in the scale. All right, so how do we harmonize this? So this is our first position. We got C's on the outside, the root, 3, 5, and 7 in the middle, E flat, G, and B flat. Sounds good. Now we're going to move the outer notes up, keep the internal notes the same. Okay, so this is pretty easy. We get a little cluster there. It sounds really nice. Okay. Next one is the third. E flat is on the outside. G, B flat, and C. 5, 7, and 1 in the middle. Okay, the F, this is really nice because we get some movement here. Okay, F is like 4 or 11 is another way we can describe the F. And in the middle, check this out. We got 5, 7, and 9. Okay, so you get that 9 in there. It sounds really nice. Next one is G. G's on the outside. 7, 1, and 3 in the middle. Sounds really nice. These are kind of stock chords, so you just know if you go to these, they're going to sound really nice. There's no question, no fussing with them. Okay, next one is that C minor 6. This is a really pretty chord, one of my favorite minor chords. And this one doesn't have a 7 in it, okay? But we have 6s on the outside, root, 3rd, and 5th in the middle, okay? Last one here, before we get back to the top, is the 7th degree. We're harmonizing the 7th of a C minor 7 scale, okay? We're using the root, the 3rd, and the 5th in the middle, and then we're up back to the C melody, okay? So let's do these slowly now. Kind of follow along with me. Let's take it down. Great job. Okay, let's go ahead and do dominant 7s. Dominant 7s are really sweet sounding. They're a little different. They're a little trickier to play. So I'm going to go ahead and perform this for you, and then we'll break it down. Okay, kind of has that 1920s Debussy sound to it. Very beautiful, very clustery chords. Love these. Okay, so what am I doing here? Using a little bit more extensions and a lot of chord clusters. So the first one is very simple. We've got that C melody and then E, G, and B flat in the middle. Kind of a basic chord here, okay? Sounds pretty good. Let's go up now. Okay, now we're talking. This sounds really nice. We got that D, those D's on the outside, the 2nd degree of the C scale. By the way, the scale, of course, is being reflected with the chord, okay? So the scale we're using is, right? So it's like a C scale with the major 3rd. We got that lowered 7th, okay? This is a scale we use on dominant chords, okay? There's a term for this, which is called mixolydian, and this is a mode. Don't worry so much about that right now. Just know, hey, this is the scale we're using. We got that lowered 7th, but it's a lot like a major scale, okay? So we already have the 1st position, 2nd position sounding nice. Check out your 3rd position, okay? This is really nice, okay? So we've got E's on the outside, G, B flat, and D. So you got that 9 up here, and you get that cluster on the top, so that's really sweet. It's always nice to bump that 9 and the 1 together, or 2 and 1, you get that cluster. So we're going to kind of do that as we play this, okay? All right, the F, we're going to harmonize a little bit differently, still keeping the notes of the chord here. We're actually keeping the same notes in the middle from E. We've got F's on the outside, G, B flat, and D in the middle, okay, and that sounds really nice. Okay, next one is G's on the outside, and check that out. There's our 9 and 3 butted up together. You get that kind of lush cluster sound there. So we've got 7, 9, and 3 in the middle. Okay, next one is the A, okay, and we usually refer to this as 13 for dominant chords, okay? And the reason why is because it includes the 9, okay? So we build chords 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13. You define chords as like a C13 if it includes the 11, 9, 7, 3, 5, 1, okay? So there's your 13 on the outside, 7, 9, and 3 butted up together. There's your B flats. You've got 9 and 3 again in the middle, 5, and then there's your roots up top. Okay, so let's go ahead and play this slowly together. Okay, and here it is. Working our way down, E, D, and C. Great job. And guess what? That is all of your blocked chords, major, minor, dominant 7th chords, 95% of the chords you're going to find on your lead sheets. And if you know your scales, you can apply those to any chord, okay? You can take that C minor and you can do it on F. Isn't that nice? It really becomes important to know your scales, and this is where the classical world merges with jazz, is when we're creating these really lush chords, these jazz chords, if you will. You need to know your scales in order to find those degrees that I'm talking about.